Pandemonium Premodern monthly round number 3. It's the first monthly. Hi, welcome back. If you've been here before, welcome back for the first time. If you're here for the first time, today we're getting into round 3 of our Premodern monthly. And before we get into the games, we need to know who the players are and what decks they're playing.
So we have a special player today.
We'll talk about him in a moment.
I'm so excited to watch this guy play.
But first, more importantly, we have returning from round 1, Mike Swik. You'll remember the victor from round 1. He beat Ryan Gates in a best of 3. He won 2-1 to Ryan Gates. This is him returning with his green-black The Rock deck. We've seen this before. It's a very traditional looking rock deck. Some things that stick out is maybe not super common are going to be nothing. I was just thinking about Al's deck. There are Birds of Paradise. You will not always see Birds of Paradise in traditional rock because it's not the greatest top deck ever. If you're going into the long game, you want to be the deck that top decks better than your opponent every time. That's kind of the rock's MO. And if you start top decking Birds, it gets a little bit spooky. Given you can play a Birds and use your recurring Nightmare to do some loops, but Mike also only has 1 recurring Nightmare.
What's the big difference between this deck and the other deck? Is it just the 4 survivals?
Well, it's the 4 survivals, but then you'll note that like this deck, the other deck had 4 survivals, like 3 recurring Nightmares. This deck, that was Rec-Sur. This is The Rock. The Rock, he's playing 4 Blastoderms, 4 Ravenous Baloth, 4 Pernicious Deed. And these really kind of make up the mid-range game plan that Mike's going for.
Blastoderm is just a big shroud beater, huh?
It is. Another deck we haven't touched on the channel that I'd love to at some point is Fires.
Oh, Yavimaya Fires? I would love to play that.
Yeah, Blastoderm looks a lot scarier when those fade counters. It has 1 more fade counter, effectively. Yeah, but we've seen this before. It's a phenomenal deck. Look in the description. Check out the playlist if you want to see Mike playing some more. He is, from my experience, quite the competent rock player. I did see him pilot this deck through the entire tournament, watched a lot of his games, and I can just tell you he's quite good. Our next player is this random dude named Adrian Hunter.
I've never seen him.
Never heard of him. I'm Neon Mushroom. Adrian Hunter is just like some guy that showed up to our event. He is playing Groatog.
I've never seen these cards before either.
I've never seen these cards.
I feel like I haven't played against all of these.
This is weird.
Blue cards before.
Yeah, obviously this is me. I'm going to be covering myself playing, which is definitely weird. I also know how this game ends very well, but we'll try.
You were there.
Well, yeah. I was there. Oh,
wow.
We're going to pretend. Okay, this one I will explain a little bit more because this is the first appearance of a non-red, non-rockish deck in the event. This is Groatog, and you'll see Tog's in the name. You see Psychatog, you see some islands, you see Gush. You're thinking, oh, this is just a weird Psychatog deck, like Dr. Teeth, and it's not. It does borrow the blue parts of Dr. Teeth to do this engine thing the deck does, but what the deck really is a Quirion Dryad deck. How the deck operates is it's an Armageddon deck. So we've got 4 Mox Diamonds, we've got Armageddons, then we've got Gush. So we get to set up a play pattern, we lead on Diamond, develop a threat, interact with our opponent once, then on turn 3 or 4, Gush, pick up 2 of our lands, and then tap out to Armageddon. There's no parity. We lose 1 land, our opponent loses 3 to 4, and then our huge threat keeps attacking. They can't answer because they don't have any lands. Next thing you know, I develop my mana base further. I've started to cast some accumulated knowledges. I've cast some counterspells. There's a Meddling Mage on your most important card, and you just find yourself in a spot where you can't win. That's what it looks like for Groatog.
You also get some really great disruptive spells.
Absolutely.
Counterspell, Fire Ice. You've got free counter magic.
Yep, Daze foil.
Swords to Plowshares. But Meddling Mage is such a big draw. That's what a lot of the white is. It's not just that Armageddon.
Absolutely.
Watching you use these Meddling Mages has been... You do have to be knowledgeable of the format, but naming something is not too
Meddling
bad.
Mage is probably one of the best creatures in the pre-modern format. The sideboard exists in this picture, but we won't talk about it just yet because I think it's more important that we get into the game itself. Yep, our players are getting started and we are rolling. Our players, I'm one of them. Mike rolls, I roll. It looks like I rolled a 4. I have to imagine I lost this roll. I didn't quite catch Mike's, but I think I lost. But I think that's okay because if I open on a diamond hand, it's like I went first anyway.
Yeah, really Diamond is so strong. Any of these 0 mana rampers, incredibly strong.
Absolutely. And looking at this, I'm trying to remember exactly what my hand was, but I think I end up mulliganing this.
Is that a force spike in there?
There's no force spike in this deck.
Okay.
You're thinking of the Solution, another deck I've been playing recently. Yeah, we're taking a mulligan here. This deck, not known for super elegant mulligans, because we're a diamond deck, and we only have, this is something we didn't talk about when we were looking at the decks. I only have 18 lands, which seems a little bit weird for a diamond deck, but we're We're really pushing it. Mike trying to show us his hand here. I didn't catch everything, but it looks like he's got a good mix of green spells,
Lands
black
and
spells, and
spells.
lands. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is what the Rock signing up.
That's
for
all the
every
Rock
time.
wants. The Rock is definitely, like we said in round one, the precursor to our modern Jund decks. It is playing that mid-range game. It wants to be disruptive with its discard spells, land a big, hard to answer threat, and just keep it around by making you discard your hand.
The blueprint's there, right? You've got your 8 discard spells, like you were saying. You've got your fat threats. The only thing that's really missing that makes this different from Jund is the reach that Jund tends to have, but that's totally fine. Also, you could play Jund in this format, but the mana would be devastating.
The mana is rough.
One of the reasons the Rock's so good is because the mana is good.
Now, things that this Groatog deck is really good at mulliganing, though, however, is you have Portent, you have Opt.
Absolutely.
Those cards are nuts.
We did see a Cabal Therapy here, and I don't know exactly what he named. What I can tell you is he missed. We did not lose any cards.
Is that an Opt in there with a City of Brass as your only land?
City of Brass. We have no, this is a 6.
Diamond?
I'm keeping on 6 here. So I think what my plan was, and what I'm likely to do, is play City of Brass, tap it for blue, lose a life, Opt, try to find land so I can develop Mox Diamond.
And then go hold open anything.
Hold open Swords to Plowshares, get ready to start holding up Counterspell. But it looks like we missed the land, which is unfortunate because this diamond's going to kind of get cramped up in our hand.
Yep.
Now, something I will say before we get too deep into this game, there are the differentials in matchup percentages are much less intense in this format than they are in formats like, say, Modern, where you can have 70-30, 80-20 matchups. Those aren't super common in pre-Modern. This is the advantage deck in this matchup by a decent amount is the Rock. And when I say a decent amount, I think Mike's maybe 60%. Because of the way that hand disruption is a great way to target Gush decks.
Yes.
Is the main thing. And
that
Mike has
Cabal
plenty of
Therapy
it.
coming right back. We see him taking your Meddling Mage there.
Yep.
And we did see that Portent.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, the Meddling Mage, something Mike really wants to get out of play. Mike's got limited ways to actually deal with my permanents. He's maybe got 1, 2, potentially 3 ways. And if I name the right one, whether it be Smother or Pernicious Deed, that Meddling Mage might stop Mike from ever developing his board at all, which is a big deal. So I think that was a pretty heads up play for Mike there.
Yes.
We're doing a Portent. We're shuffling. We don't like the top 3 cards.
We didn't see any
deck.
lands in there.
That's
Pretty
all we're
rough.
looking for. Yeah, this is this game 1 was tough. From my memory, this was a pretty tough game 1 for me. All right, Mike not missing a land drop at all, playing a Pernicious Deed, and this is a
It's pretty bad.
This is
for
pretty
you
bad.
if you ever want to resolve that Mox Diamond.
we have, looking at my deck list, I have no ways to main board deal with an enchantment. And that means that if I ever want to develop my board, I'm going to have to always develop it to a point where, like, to incentivize Mike to crack his Pernicious Deed.
Yep.
And then I need to have
backups.
more to redeploy. In our deck, not known for having a ton of threats in the first place. A few Meddling Mages, few Quirion Dryads, a couple Psychatogs. We're out of threats now. That's it.
That's not enough.
No, not even close.
No. We did find lane 2.
Yep.
I will say Mike's probably the good guy in this matchup.
I would say so too. Now, that said, the Rock into Groatog, Groatog can look like the good guy because of the way Rock can play into it, but I don't know if you've seen the Groatog footage online. Groatog is a bad guy deck.
I've seen you play Groatog against me, and knowing how that goes.
Yeah, I know.
Mike is definitely the good guy here. He's somebody I'm rooting for in this matchup.
Mike's also a great guy. Couldn't be a better guy.
Pull through in this. Yeah. Now these 0/5s aren't going to do it too quickly, but that Treetop Village, that's going to get in there. Oh, we got a Fire Ice coming in.
I could have Swords that Treetop, but I think I'm looking for more land drops.
Getting to be able to draw off of something and having him use all of his mana there instead. It's a great way to get some.
Just tempo out the attack, take a card draw, take my point to the City of Brass, see what we can string together. Also, this Pernicious Deed also making this Mox Diamond in my hand.
Pretty dead.
But look pretty awful.
He could activate that for 0 mana and just get rid of it.
Happily strip mine me.
Absolutely.
Seal of strip mine.
I think he's trying to bait out the Swords Plowshares right now before he gets more to the board.
And it works. Like, I have to deal with it.
Yeah. You're going to get a land out of the way as well, on top of a threat. But
yeah, Mike's going to go up to 23. Now, Groatog, not known for really caring about its opponent's life total, but he does play a second Treetop Village. This deck plays way more threats than I have answers to. So with me starting off on the back foot, Mike he has to feel great about his position here.
Now, you've spent a lot of time just casting
Portent, Opt, yeah.
You wanted to have a Quirion Dryad in play. If you were to have a Quirion Dryad in play before,
it'd be an 8/8 by now.
Yeah,
it'd be huge, enormous. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're just kind of spinning your wheels, looking for those threats and looking for lands to play those threats as well.
Absolutely,
starting on such of a back foot here
comes with the territory. This deck is very strong, but there are fail states, and we mulligan to 6. I'm actually pretty happy with the 6 that we drew. If that Opt found us a land, this game looks totally different. Mike, on the other hand, kept his 7, and that's the nice thing about Rock. This is a deck I would absolutely recommend looking into buying into if you want to get into Premodern and play as much Magic as possible, because this Rock deck really doesn't have a lot of fail states. It always just kind of works.
It's always just discard spells into big fatties.
Yep, I fetched with my my Flooded Strand, and I pulled off the top because from that Portent, I knew it was
already
on top.
there.
That's a nice thing I like to point out. Portent, great in decks like Shrimp, mono blue decks, but in decks where you can put fetches into your 60, you can break up your Portent piles with fetch lands, which gives you more card selection. I think that's just great.
It's also very easy to get stuck underneath a Portent pile and not be able to work your way out of it. It sometimes could be a trap to leave some cards on top unless you can find a way out of them instead of shuffling.
Yep, and fetches do that perfectly.
Mike knows about this Armageddon in your hand. I don't think he's worried about it at all.
No.
Especially if you went
and I think I'm going for it, because I'm playing the Diamond out.
And if you go and play that Diamond out, he can still just blow up your Diamond with his Pernicious Deed to stay at parity. And he's going to keep his wall around to have 1 more mana than you ever turn anyway.
Mike's displaying some great play here. I'm sure Mike has lands in his hand that he's like, he's just fully developing his mana base because he knows how it's going to play out. He wants to pressure me into having to Armageddon. And I'm not pulling that bait just yet. I'm putting Meddling Mage on the stack, passing priority. I believe Mike's asking me exactly how Meddling Mage works. By the time Meddling Mage comes into play, the card's already named. So Mike may have a Smother, a Vendetta, some removal spell.
It's into the battlefield trigger.
And I named Smother off of the Meddling Mage, which is I would normally name Pernicious Deed, but that card's already in play.
It doesn't do anything now.
Mike is going to keep fighting the best fight, attack with the Treetop. Swords, I do like this play for me just because I have the Armageddon and swordsing his land makes it so. Do you develop another land?
It kind of wants him to put another land into play now.
Because Mike also, he's not super incentivized to crack that Pernicious Deed on just my Mox Diamond.
No.
If he does that, it kind of becomes open season depending on what's in my hand. But here, Mike's just displaying some great play. He's played a lot of Rock and he's being patient at all the right times. He knows he's not in a hurry. He can kind of sit here, grind, draw cards, pass the turn back to me. He's under no pressure.
He does also know about a counterspell in there. So there is some reason to start jamming some threats just to try to get through that counterspell, but he does have to find multiple things to play as long as you're holding open that blue.
Yep, absolutely. Now, he's also just got that, with that Pernicious Deed, like I've only got 3 blue sources here, so double counterspelling is probably not going to be great for me. Mike can just keep drawing cards and passing.
Every land makes blue.
He's got the Pernicious Deed, so he has full autonomy over when I can use those blue sources. We see a Portent. We look at the top 3. It looks like a Quirion Druid, a Gush, and a Flooded Strand from what I can see. And based on the current status quo of the game, I think I should keep this pile. Yeah, it looks like I'm just ordering it. Those are some cards I'm interested in.
Gush seems pretty strong here with that Armageddon in your hand.
It breaks the parity on the Armageddon, which is something I need. I need any card advantage I can get in this matchup right now. Because Mike, again, super content to just sit here, draw cards, pass the turn. He has a Pernicious Deed. He doesn't know my list card for card, but he can make a really well-educated guess that I cannot deal with the Pernicious Deed. I will have to extend into it. And because of that, Mike can just wait until I play something that could potentially deal damage to him.
Yes.
And then he can go, okay, break the deed.
Yep.
It's very likely Mike wants me to cast my Armageddon before cracking his deed.
Oh, there's the Gush. Are we going to see an Armageddon this turn?
If you see me gushing at this spot with a known Armageddon in hand, it's a guarantee that I'm just going to be casting the Geddon. And the Gush obviously takes the lands that would be destroyed back into my hand. I may have to go to discard this turn, but I think that's a trade I'm willing to make. Here's the Armageddon. Mike, very unlikely to do very much about it. Cracking the Pernicious Deed on 2 also kills his Wall of Roots, and the Wall of Roots being left over after the Armageddon is huge for Mike.
Yes.
It gives him an extra mana source, so if he plays a land next turn, maybe he can Wall of Blossoms, or just any odd spell. Cast a Duress, plus play a bird. There's a lot of options he could have. Looks like he's floating 4 and cracking the
he is
deed.
Cracking that for 2 this turn.
That seems strange. If I'm remembering correctly, Mike does rethink this play, because that would be a strange play. I think we actually had a conversation about that play. Like, well, it does blow up your Wall of Roots. And, we'll both be back to 0, but I've got more cards than handing you at this point. So
having that card selection from all of your draw spells as well has probably loaded up your hand. We did see, I think, 6 cards in your hand before the Gush, going up to 8.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I haven't played a land yet this turn either, so I'll be able to develop an island. Land drop. You know, I don't think he's...
I think there's an idea for him to potentially crack that Pernicious Deed end of turn, but he can also do it whenever you go and try to play another Mox Diamond.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm likely not going to do that just because the Deed's in play. To be frank, I didn't want to play the first one. I just knew Armageddon was part of my line to potentially try to get back into this game.
I think playing it to bait out blowing up that Pernicious Deed earlier is a great way to get it. You're going to be blowing up your lands anyway.
Yep.
Might as well put something that you want him to blow up to try to get that out of there.
I just discarded the hand size. It was a Flooded Strand. And Mike here, but like Mike's still just, he knows this game's going to go on. He's at 26. I'm at 10. He's just taking his time. And I think even from this position, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good at all. He's got that Deed. He plays out another land. Looks like we're getting there's a wall of blossoms coming into play. It just keeps going.
He's now that you've blown up that Armageddon, he's seen it. You put shields down for a minute. He's ready to go right back into it.
I have to tap down. I can't wait forever and hold up Counterspell because that'll blow up more lands. So I just have to develop the Armageddon. Then Mike goes, okay, you're tapped below Counterspell. Here's a threat. Not even a threat, but like a wall, something to recurring nightmare. And this is, if you play the rock, be like Mike, be patient, be calm, collected, cast Cabal Therapy at just the right time.
Name Counterspell because you have knowledge of the Counterspell in his hand. I'm
going to say the Counterspell in response, I have to imagine, because there's knowledge of the Counterspell, like you said.
You don't want him flashing it back.
Exactly.
With perfect knowledge and getting a
newer player might let you take the Counterspell, but then it's like, he sees your hand though.
And so then you sacrifice that wall of blossoms. To potentially go get it back any other time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So you pop off a Counterspell there. Now, Mike could have some other piece of action here, although his action spells aren't typically costed at 2. So some rock decks will play Yavimaya Elder. Mike's does not.
Well, if he's got another land, he's up to 3 mana. If he has a swamp, he could play a recurring nightmare right now.
And that would be bad for me, but it looks like he doesn't. We're just taking a pass. I'm going to draw my card for turn, and I wonder, I can't remember what I'm thinking. I wonder what that guy Adrian's thinking right now, because this can't feel good. Play City of Brass, tap for 1, 2.
Are we playing another Meddling Mage?
Looks like we're developing a Dryad.
This is going to be a good way to start putting a threat that's going to attack through those walls on the board.
Yep. But the Pernicious Deed still in play.
There's Cabal Therapy.
Yeah, but he needs Counterspell Seize too. Now, I think I didn't Counterspell this one because
it's flashback. It's no longer in his graveyard.
It's flashback. It's no longer his graveyard. He also doesn't know I have 2 Counterspells in hand, but he did correctly name Counterspell, and I had 2 of them.
There goes. That's 3 Counterspells out of your deck right now.
And that's a huge
You're not
swing.
left with too much interaction anymore.
Card advantage wise, the swing there was huge.
Absolutely. And we've also seen, how many Swords of Plowshares have you used?
I believe 2.
So you only have 1 more in the deck. You're just about out of interaction for going up against Mike's threats.
Meanwhile, Mike's spry. He's good to go. He's got plenty of action.
He sees you've got, is that an Armageddon, a Gush, and a Tog?
That's correct. But I can't even think about developing the Tog, right? What happens if I do that? And there's a Blastoderm.
This Blastoderm
is a 2-turn clock.
It's also a 4-mana creature instead of a 3-mana creature.
So if Mike wants to, he can pop that Pernicious Deed on 2 and just clock me. Because he might not know this exactly, but I have no way to answer a Blastoderm in my main deck.
No. Blastoderm is it's not hexproof. That is just Shroud.
Absolutely. This is not a great spot for me. I'm actually regretful that we're covering this game. I remember really hating how this went. I'm gonna Gush, put a counter on the Dryad, get 2 islands back. Looks like we're gearing up for another Armageddon. That Blastoderm does not care about that Armageddon.
No, it does not.
And he still has the Wall of Roots, so he could still go, okay, destroy all my lands, play a land, pop Deed on 2.
Yes, that Wall of Roots is almost out of life to be able to keep going, but
2 more
Armageddon right now I think is definitely a good choice.
I need to. It's the only option I have. But Mike still, even with 1 mana source and a Wall of Roots that can only produce 2 more green, still he's gonna firmly be in the driver's seat because that Blastoderm.
He's gonna be punching you in the face for 5 every single turn now.
There goes that first fading counter. Now the way that the Blastoderm works is if it couldn't remove a counter. So Mike does get 3 clean attacks with the Blastoderm.
Oh boy, I would love, you're only at 9. It only needs 2 attacks.
It only needs 2.
I can see Mike popping this right now and completely wiping your board and making this 2-turn clock start right now.
I wonder what Mike could be thinking about as why wouldn't I pop? this Pernicious Deed right now.
I'm
Maybe
curious
Stifle is sometimes played in this deck, but it's not very common. It's usually only ever a one of.
Boy, that would be a great answer to Pernicious Deed. Have him tap out for Pernicious Deed and just say nope.
Mike says, nope, I don't need to. I'll attack you. I don't block, which looking back at this game, probably should have blocked there.
If you had double blocked there, I think that would have been just fine.
I don't
Get
even
that Blastoderm off.
No, I can't double block there. There's no way. I can block the Blastoderm, but where does that leave me? With a Pernicious Deed still in play that he didn't have to use to kill my creatures? That doesn't. I think that kills me, right? And it looks like he's not interested in the deed.
No,
he's just developing
that would be 5. It would trade. It would get him off.
Right, but he would still have the Pernicious Deed.
You're right.
And that's 2 of my threats. That's just so bad.
We know about a Psychatog.
Yeah, we know about a Psychatog. I might just have to develop the Psychatog and hope he forgets to crack his deed.
Or hope he doesn't have that next land drop. If he doesn't, well,
he's got a Birds of Paradise.
He's got the bird.
Yeah,
it would wipe everything but his 5/5. But that's all he needs. You're at 4.
Yeah, I think Mike's about to close the door here.
You know, I think tapping out for Psychatog is lethal.
Yep. I mean, anything I do here with the way my deck's constructed, I'm dead.
You're out of options here.
Yeah, Mike didn't even have to give me the option to block last turn.
Yeah.
I'm attacking for 2. I choose now as my time to get busy. Attacking for 2 with my
still not even on the board. Mike's still above the 20 life points that he started at.
2 swords to Plowshares, both on Treetops. Yep. Mike develops a land, and he's got to be thinking about cracking
I believe this is Adrian just dead in the water.
Just dead. Yep. That's 1, 2, 3. Pop the deed. There goes my creatures, and perfect. I'm sweeping up my cards. That was horrible for me. Phenomenally executed by Mike. Just great patience. Kind of sat
I
there.
really enjoyed that game.
Took his time.
Watching you get just punched in the face with a Blastoderm.
Do I have to point to the scoreboard? Or let's go ahead and look at some decks. All right, not decks. Better yet, sideboards. All right, Mike
we're looking at Mike's sideboard here.
What is he potentially interested in? My graveyard is not a very big part of my game outside of Psychatog and accumulated knowledge.
Correct.
So I don't think Crypt is necessarily a card that Mike would ever want to draw into. The Withered Wretch right next to it, however, I could see being an important card in this matchup.
I could see this Haunting Echoes being a great late game target as well.
Haunting Echoes is 4 matchups like this.
Okay.
They'll bring it in against the Mirror. They'll bring it in against Rec-Sur. They'll bring it in against Landstill. Any game that is slotted to go very long. Haunting Echoes, for those of you who don't know, it doesn't check hand like Surgical Extraction does, but it takes all non-lands in your graveyard and it strips your deck of all of them. So it surgicals everything.
Just basic lands. It's going to hit
it hits non-basics as well. Yeah.
If you've got non-basics that you've pitched to a diamond, it's going to take those too. That could be a huge swing because your deck does not play as many basics, right?
And as
a 3-color deck
only
or 4-color deck?
It's just islands and it's like 9 islands and 1 plains.
So, but less than half of your mana?
It's the City of Brass that I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
You've got my list right in front of you.
That's
It's a very strange mana base for a deck like this.
It is.
And then I think we're going to see a Withered Wretch, potentially some Vendettas just to diversify.
I like Vendetta.
He diversifies his removal, right? So all of a sudden Meddling Mage.
I like Vendetta specifically for Meddling Mage, or even a Quirion Dryad if you can hit it before you can start growing it. That's a great way to deal with a Quirion Dryad. I'm not too keen on really anything else. I can't see.
Naturalized scene. What are you gonna do? Hit a Mox Diamond? Who cares?
Yeah. Maybe a Nuktabi orangutan because you can loop it. And it's a body.
Yeah, I can see that.
That can deal with a Mox Diamond, and you don't feel bad about putting a body into play.
Absolutely.
But you don't need an Engineered Plague. You're not a tribal deck.
Nope.
Massacres specifically for our 1 toughness creature matchups.
Specifically Sly, Elves, decks like that.
Chainer's Edict seems all right if you only have 1 threat.
It would be better if that was just Psychatog. Like the blue-black variant.
Oh yeah, it would be great against just Psychatog. I can see bringing it in just to diversify your removal spells against Meddling Mage.
Absolutely.
But that's about it. And then I don't think Spike Feeder is very necessary here.
I agree. And moving over to me, I've got a little bit less for a matchup like this. I did make 1 going into the tournament. I had a 3rd Armageddon in my sideboard. I swapped it out for a Mystic Enforcer, which I can tell you from recollection, I brought in the matchup.
Okay.
It has protection from black.
It's also a
6/6 flyer. Yeah, when you have threshold. Cards that I could be interested in. Annul, not so much. My permission is just going to work usually. Having a card that just counters exactly Recurring Nightmare, not what I'm into. Chill, color hate card, no thank you. Swords, yes, he has so many threats, I need to be able to answer them on demand. Brave Revelation, so. I'm just not really trying to target a Recurring Nightmare.
You can never hit that Recurring Nightmare if he plays it correctly.
Same with just Disenchant's bad for the same reason. We do want the Mystic Enforcer. I do believe I brought in Call of the Herds just as a card that represents 2 cards.
Yep.
Because the beginning of the game can be quite grindy. Then I'm not bringing in Pyroclasms. I do believe I brought in the Tormod's Crypt just as like, I think I had a 4th card I wanted to take out. And the Crypt does give me a little bit of extra leniency against Recurring Nightmare. Looking back, maybe I shouldn't have brought it in because he only has the 1 Recurring Nightmare, but this wasn't an open decklist tournament.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe he had up to 3.
If you were playing against a deck that had 3 Recurring Nightmares, and they're definitely bringing it in. What'd you bring out? Just some chaff?
This tournament was a month ago. I can't remember, but we are getting into the game and I'm on the play. All right, we go Island, very typical opener for me. That means I have an opt usually. And then Llanowar Wastes, tap it, probably make black to do, nope, make a green to make a bird.
This is a great way to start this. You're not playing red, you don't have bolts.
Yep.
That bird is probably safe to just ramp for the rest of the game.
Yep. I'm gonna go ahead and crank off this opt. It looks like I put the card on the bottom. Take a draw for turn.
The last time we watched Mike play, he played his Bird of Paradise against Mog Fanatic.
And I think it was just
really
Mog
poor
Fanatic.
there.
Yeah, it feels not great.
Yep. But in the matchups like these, where your opponents aren't going to spend their Swords to Plowshares on a Bird of Paradise, this is exactly when you want to be ramping with these birds. So it feels really bad against Mog Fanatic, but against every other matchup, let's go. A bird is the way to do it.
Absolutely. Here's another blind therapy.
Wow. A bird turning into a Cabal Therapy too also seems not
just
bad.
fine. Just fine for him. I wonder what the name is on Cabal Therapy. He's now doing it blind once is actually kind of okay because he's going to get to flash it back. So I'm not sure what he names, but we'll see if he hits anything.
I'd probably name
2 swords,
Counterspell
1 gush, 1 fire ice, 1 accumulated knowledge, and it looks like a Quirion Dryad. Well, you would have been wrong. But yeah, now he knows about 2 swords.
Yeah. Do you just wait and then take out those swords if you're Mike?
Well,
or do you try to do that right now?
If he flashes back Cabal Therapy, the first thing I do is swords. Well, I guess I can't swords the bird. I could have held priority with the therapy on the stack there and cast the swords, but that would have been way too heads up for me. I'm not that good. So I think if he goes ahead and he could just sacrifice the bird, therapy out the swords, and that's pretty good. This Wall of Blossoms, even better if you sack the Wall of Blossoms
that seems pretty good.
Swords.
That seems pretty good.
I'm not sure if he winds up doing it here or maybe he wants to hold it. He does pass. I think I would have given into the temptation.
I can see waiting until the next turn. Say you draw another one. What are you going to do? Use the Swords to Plowshares on a 0-4 or a 0-1?
Yeah, I mean,
just sits back there.
There's a world where I'd Swords to Birds.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're going to in this spot because he's already developed
if you're
a wall.
about to lose 3 and he's going to do it after you've taken another draw, absolutely Swords that Birds, but that doesn't feel good.
Yep. Looks like I'm going to be AKing, I have to imagine. Yep, Accumulated Knowledge. The first one, not very impressive. 2 mana, draw 1, no manipulation, no nothing.
Mike also sees that you have 3 cards in hand that are uncastable.
That is true. That is usually the case for Groatog.
Yes.
It can't cast its spells till it can, then it gets really bad.
Yep.
But our mana base, like going over my mana base, because there's not going to be a ton happening in the near future, but our mana base is 4 City of Brass, 4 Flooded Strand, 8 Island, 1 Plains, 1 Undiscovered Paradise, 4 Mox Diamond. We're not in a
Those
hurry.
Mox Diamonds are really what's making the mana come together then.
Yeah, exactly.
There we see the swords, or the Cabal Therapy.
Sacking the wall.
And he names it after, or as it's resolving, not beforehand. So he could take something that's not swords.
But I swords anyway, just to not get 2 for 1.
Yes, you don't want him to take all of them.
Also getting rid of the birds here after he sacrifices the wall, it clears the board, which is pretty important to me.
Yes.
I wonder what the name is here. Maybe he just gets like the fire ice or the dryad. Looks like he names Gush, which makes sense.
Try to keep you off of as much as possible. I like that play.
I do too.
Yep, and we do see another swords. So had that name swords, boy, a little salty.
I'm gonna need these swords to Plowshares next. Now he did float a mana off the birds when I went to swords, so he could develop something for 3 mana right now if he wanted to. But he just plays Treetop Village and passes.
Oh, I bet you love to see that. Do we go to what are we looking for on our draws? Just more lands? Do we feel like we want to main phase a ice here to try to draw land?
No. We'll just continue to be reactive. This game could go for quite a bit more time. The way that this deck plays out a lot of the time, we just don't really like. Now, if I drew an AK here, which I think I did, I will play that at main phase because that's 2 cards that I'm very favored to find a land, and we do at City of Brass. So now our spot, not that bad.
No,
not that
and
bad
we know
at all.
about a Daze in hand. It's not great when when Mike has enough time to just develop his mana. But it means he can't maybe double spell this
Now,
turn.
we have a Blastoderm coming down, which
That's
is
pretty
not great for
scary.
me. But he had to wait till turn 5 to play it because the Daze went face up after the Cabal Therapy, which is not nothing. That's pretty good for me.
That
still.
is a 5/5 Shroud on an open board.
Yeah, we're going to need to deal with that at some point. We play Mox Diamond, pitching a City of Brass, which is usually the way we want to do that. City of Brasses aren't great in play. They hurt very badly to use for mana. And we're tapping, looks like
I think we're going to see a Quirion Dryad.
Yeah,
here. I think this is the turn where we start playing it.
Dryad over the course of 2 turns could just outclass a Blastoderm depending on how Mike plays the game.
However, he knows that almost all of your hand is no longer cantrips. It is just removal.
Yep.
And it doesn't do anything against this Blastoderm.
If he doesn't develop onto the board, my hand isn't castable.
It doesn't do a whole lot. No.
I have to start using things like
I can see
ice.
you wanting to start using that ice on a Treetop Village.
Well, post-activation maybe.
Yeah.
Mike taps for black. Please don't be it is a Vendetta to take out my poor blocker. I needed that very badly. All right, that's a dead Quirion Dryad.
I like seeing the Vendettas come in here. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, just diversifying for Meddling Mage. Huge.
Absolutely. 1 mana to deal with any threat that could potentially only be 1 life loss. Sounds fine.
Now, you don't want to Vendetta Tog a lot of the time, but the other threats,
it might just punch you right back in the face, just like it is.
All right, we see 4 being tapped for I think we're done here.
Wow, that's 10 Shroud power on board. Those Swords to Plowshares look pretty unimpressive against these Shroud.
And this is one of the reasons I was saying that Rock is a tougher matchup for Groatog. If these were threats that I could tango with, I could drag Mike into the long game where I'm unbeatable. But Mike says, you can't beat these. You can't fight these. You're
How
done.
are we going to get bigger than this?
Well, with the Vendetta on my Quirion Dryad, we're not going to get bigger than this.
Are we looking for a Psychatog right now?
I think Psychatog is one of my few potential outs to this situation. Mike does get to pressure me down to 8 if he wants. If he has a removal spell for the Psychatog, it's lights out for the most part. But we'll see what we go with here. I tap 2. Looks like I'm on Chump City. Play a Quirion Dryad.
That does look like that.
It looks.
What's that last card in your hand?
We've got
that's Daze.
Face down, Daze, swords.
Yep.
4 cards in hand. And Mike, he doesn't need to do a lot here, Max.
We just turn him sideways.
Just turn him sideways.
I don't even think there's a reason to activate Treetop Village here.
Both of those Derms have 2 more turns.
Yeah.
One has 3.
Yeah, well, activating Treetop Village here gives you a swords target, and that's just going to grow your Dryad. I think just getting it off the board and swinging is...
Although growing to a 2/2 isn't going to affect the bottom line at all.
No.
Because I have to block here. I'm at 8. I am lethal to not just 2 Blastoderms, but 1 Derm and 1 Treetop.
Yep.
I am AKing to draw 3 cards. That's not nothing. Oh, was it 4? It may have been 4. That may have been my 4th AK. Definitely had some cards go to the bin. We're tapping for 1. Oh, a little Portent. I think I'm just trying to like I think I'm trying to cast
something
spells.
to stay alive. And we're going right for the shuffle too. There wasn't anything worthwhile on top.
Max, I think Adrian knows he's dead and he's just casting spells to show off his deck to the camera. I think that's
upkeep, I'm going to draw something that's not going to get me out of this.
I could stack my deck. I could win this game. It's not good.
I did enjoy watching these Blastoderms punch you in the face.
Yeah, well, how was your top 8 in that event, Max?
It was quite outstandingly poor. But did I have fun?
Oh, and we're dead.
There's the
the event was a blast.
What a great event. I loved watching that match.
It was a great match. It hurts me that I was the one that was getting decimated there. But that was another great performance from Mike, showing off how good he is.
So well with the rock today.
Going into 3-0. We're going into round 4. Mike will be a 3-0.
Great.
Yep. I am not sure who we have slotted for the round 4. We're going to find out shortly once I actually get through that footage and get it ready for you. But I will say that Mike being 3-0 in a 5-round Swiss tournament could top 8 double ID into the top 8.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a spoiler. He instead elected to play more Magic.
That's the way to do it.
Because that's what Premodern is.
Absolutely.
It's just people enjoying the game. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you didn't, I don't know, find somewhere else to be.
And if you did, stay tuned. We're going to be doing some more.
We got round 4 coming up. We got round 5. And then we have the quarter, semi, and finals of the event. I know how it ends. You don't. Tune in next time on Neon Mushroom's Happy Slappy Hour.